So in previous class, we were discussing this introduction chapter, and we discussed so many things. So we were discussing association rule or association analysis. Okay. So we discussed what are the support and confidence, okay, and how they represent the numerical values and what is their interpretation. Okay. One numerical question we also discussed. Then we were here classification regression, and we discussed this classification also and how the classification model can be represented. So first we discussed it can be in form of if then statement, and then by this decision tree diagram, and we were here this by the neural network. So based on the studies in biology domain, it was observed that human mind has many number of small cells, and those cells they used to say neuron. And from computing point of view, it was observed that if we also do computation similar as human beings used to do, so each individual neuron was supposed as a computational unit. And those units were divided into different layers. And the interaction of all computational units decides final decision to be taken. Okay. So this is one simple example of neural network. Here we have several F1, F2, F3, F5, F6. Basically, they are the computational units. So input age and income, and then based on some values, function, or execution of some function, and taking some decision whether it should be forward to the value here or here or here, like that. So all the possible paths are used here, and finally whether the class to which class the sample age and income of a customer belong to, class A, class B, class C. So initially, so many examples are taken, and this is trained. Trained means these values are computed, or these functions are made. Okay, but in practice, we have matrices and matrix operations, etc. So we will discuss in detail later when we were discussing this chapter, neural network. In our neural network, we use neuron-like processing units with weighted connections, and between the units, the weights are adjusted such that the overall computation classifies an unknown data or object into an appropriate class. Okay. So similarly, this was one classification model. Other classification models are here. We will discuss later in classification chapter. So naive Bayesian classification, it is one model of classification. Support vector machines, it is another model. Then K nearest neighbor classification, it is another classification model. So a classification model predicts unordered discrete levels. Here in classification, we take unordered discrete objects or levels. Continuous and discrete, just like integer, if I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all they are supposed to be discrete. When I consider 1.25, it refers to some continuous value. So in nature, we can observe both kind of observations, just like water of a river is continuously flowing. Okay, air is continuously moving. So all these will be modeled by some function that also have nature of continuity. Whereas when I say students in classroom, there are 30 students, all students are independent, and each one can be considered as one unit. So all those students, if I try to model, then they will be considered as discrete. So you will observe in other classes also. And in your BTech classes, one mathematics is taught discrete mathematics. Okay. So a classification model predicts unordered discrete levels. A regression model predicts missing or unavailable numerical data values rather than discrete class levels. Okay. So this is the difference between the regression model prediction and classification model prediction. Regression models continuous valued function. Okay. The term prediction is used for both numerical prediction and class level prediction. Right? Regression analysis is a statistical methodology that is most often used for numeric prediction. However, other methods also exist. Right? So regression analysis you will study, and this classification model it also we will discuss. But both have different kinds of objectives. In one case, it deals discrete levels or discrete objects. In other case, it deals continuous valued or function. We have one more kind of analysis that is called relevance analysis. Relevance means if something is relevant to me, okay, something is directly required to me, or how one thing is interested in the other, or how one person can be interested in something. So relevance means relevant. So relevance analysis here identifies attributes that are significantly relevant to the classification and regression process. Then we have to develop classification model and regression model. Then we need to think which attributes we should take into account. Which attributes are relevant that we should consider in developing model. Okay, so that is called relevance analysis. Relevance analysis is performed before classification and regression. So naturally, when we have to develop a classification model, so first action will be which attributes are relevant. Okay, so some kind of analysis I need to do, and based on those attributes, then I will go further for developing classification model. So naturally, this step is before the classification model development or the regression analysis. Next is the cluster analysis. In data mining course, classification and clustering, they are very much used. And in each book, you will find there may be 2 chapters or one big chapter or even more than. They are dedicated only clustering or cluster analysis. Okay. And classification you will also. Okay, so both are very important, and they are the main part of the entire course. So classification and regression analyze class level training data. However, clustering analyzes data objects without consulting class levels. Meaning is that when we take the issue of classification, we have knowledge in advance about the objects. Okay, their labels, their class names we know. But in case of clustering, we do not have any such knowledge. And even then we want to classify them, or we want to develop a model so that they could be classified. Right? In biology studies, the species, so many living organisms are there on the earth, and it is difficult to study all such organisms. So what happens here, they think how these can be classified. So that is called taxonomy development. So on what basis we could make them into one category. So that process there, initially, it is clustering. You can take very simple example in your routine life. Earlier days, generally people used to go vegetables or sabji market, fruits and vegetable market in the morning, and they have one homemade cloth bag in their hand. And in the morning, sabji mandi, they purchase the vegetables, potato, tomato, and some other names of the vegetables you can take. I don't know all the names. So one name can be beans, okay, and matar. I don't know what is its English name. So so many vegetables present in the market, and based on the requirement, person used to purchase half kg, 1 kg, depending on the family. So what happens here? All the vegetables they collect in the bag, and when they come back to their home, okay, so they pull out all the vegetables from the bag, and used to say to their children, those children, they are very small in age, and they say sort the vegetables or separate different vegetables in the group. And the children are not knowing the names of the vegetables. Okay. Even then, they are able to make different clusters, groups of the vegetables. A child that of 5 years or 6 years aged, he or she is able to make individual groups of individual vegetable. He or she will keep all the potato at one place, all the tomato and at another place, all the chilies at another place, all the lemons. Okay, so such a kind of cluster or groups of vegetables the child is able to make. The question arises here when child is not knowing the names of the vegetables, how he or she did that exercise. So if you ask the child, then answer will not be in form of that this was the tomato, that's why I make or separated it in one group, and this was potato. So the child is able to do the exercise, but he or she is not able to explain how she or he did that. But if you are adult or elder child in the family or parents, they will say he has done similar things or he has kept all the similar vegetables at one place. So tomato based on their color, its physical shape, the child is able to, it is similar to this and it is similar to this or it is similar to this one. So all the tomato he will keep at one place, all the potato he will make at another place, and similarly all the chili. So now you see here, this process of making group, even without any prior knowledge of the labels, is done, right? So without any prior knowledge, it is possible to make the group. And here the theory is that similarity, which object is similar or close to similar with other object, and with which object is dissimilar with which other object. So here you see the one tomato is similar to other tomato. Somewhat size may differ, okay, but it is entirely different from the potato. Okay. Similarly, other potato, it is closely similar to potatoes, and the size may be slightly different, but it is similar to that one. But so here, tomato and potato can be separated just based on similarity and dissimilarity. So similarly, here in clustering, we analyze the group that formed. So all the objects inside one group, they are similar to each other. At the same time, the object is dissimilar with the object of another group. So here, tomatoes in one group, they are dissimilar with the potatoes or group of potatoes. Okay, but inside one group, tomatoes have similarity. Inside another group, potatoes have similarity. So inter group or inter-cluster similarity or intra-cluster. Similarity within cluster, similarity within group, and similarity between two groups. So when we take two groups, that means we are talking about the inter between two. And when we use the word intra, that means inside within group. Okay, it is easy to understand. So in many cases, class labeled data may not existing in the beginning. Clustering may be used to generate class labels for a group of data. Right. So the objects are clustered or grouped based on the principle of maximizing inter-class similarity and minimizing inter-class similarity. You take here, it is shown in this diagram. Suppose they are the group of tomatoes, they are the potato, they are the chilies. Okay, so they are similar to each other. They are similar to each other here also, but this object is dissimilar from this group, and this object is dissimilar from this group. Okay, and there are few other objects, जैसे एक कद्दू हो गया, एक लौकी हो गया, या एक कुछ और. So they are generally purchased as single unit. Okay, so these are not able to make their own group, and here we used to say outlier. They are the outliers. Okay, they are not able to fit themselves in any one of the group, or they are very far away from other groups. Okay, and one more thing, they are entirely away from the system, entirely away from the main features of the group, like that. So in clustering, what we used to do, we try to make clusters based on the similarity criteria, and we take care that the similarity between the objects within a group, that means intra-similarity, should be maximum, and it should be dissimilar from this group. That means inter-similarity should be minimum, or they are dissimilar. So inter-similarity should be minimum, and intra-similarity should be high, or you can say inter-similarity should be low. And here is also written here, the objects are cluster group based on principle of maximizing the similarity and minimizing inter-class similarity. Therefore, clustering means grouping. Simply, we are making groups. Okay. So here each cluster may be considered as a class object, and from where we can drive value, drive rules for classification. Okay. Now, once we have made clusters, and we can assign the names. Okay. Okay. And based on those labeled data, it is possible to develop classification model. So clustering is the earlier analysis, classification is later analysis, in case when we do not have any such kind of label or prior information of data names, object names. Okay. So here cluster may be considered as a class of objects from where we can derive rules for classification. Therefore, clustering is considered to be base for taxonomy formation. You can also observe so many things we classify. So classification, earlier there was no such information. Even people try to group them. So first exercise will be clustering. So clustering is considered to be base of taxonomy. We organize observations into hierarchy of classes or group similar objects data together. Other kind of analysis is outlier analysis. Outlier means someone is not fit in a group. Just like you see odd man problem. Okay. So outlier analysis, a data set may contain objects that do not comply, obey, follow, or fulfill with general behavior or model of the object. These objects are called outliers. Many data mining methods discard outliers as noise. When we study, then we see these objects, they are not able to include any such class. So they may think they are not important for them, and they should be ignored. Otherwise, it is difficult to continue study. So those kind of objects one can say that is the noise. Okay, unwanted things. But in reality, it is not like that. So what we used to do, many data mining methods discard outliers as noise or exceptions. However, in some applications, such outliers are important. For example, fraud detection. Okay. Generally, you see in real life, many things do not occur in regular form. Okay. Sometimes theft in some nearby place. Okay. But it is not always uh, happened, daily happened. So what happens here? These are irregular phenomena. And in some cases, such phenomena becomes important for administrative authority, district police, etc. Okay, so the rare events may be more interesting than the more regularly occurring events. So when a police authority investigate that theft or some murder or some other kind of mishappening, okay, so that is not forming any such group, even then it is interesting for them. Okay, so something that is not important for one category of people, at the same time that thing can be more important for the other category of people. So it is not good to say it is useless, it is noise, it is not appropriate. So in reality, it is not. It is. We should not say like that. We should observe from which point of view we are commenting, right? So outliers are also important. Objects which are similar, they are also important. Okay. So when we analyze data, our objective should be clear. What we want to analyze, why we are analyzing, what can be the tentative outcome of the analysis, right? So the analysis of outlier data is called outlier analysis or anomaly mining also. Outliers are detected using statistical tests that suppose data to be distributed according to a distribution or probability model. You might be aware several kind of distribution function, binomial distribution, pi distribution, okay. So those kind of graph or distribution plot, they show some kind of variation or behavior, right? I want to analyze, so those kind of distribution help me. So what has happened, the people have observed the reality, the nature, and based on their observation, so and so kind of distribution have been observed. There is one distribution that is very popularly known, normal distribution. So one should be able to understand what is the interpretation of each distribution, how it varies in nature, which observations it is obtained, and how they were discovered. If you have that kind of understanding, then things will be easy and interesting to you. Okay. So outliers are also detected using distance methods, where objects that are remote from one cluster to one from a cluster are considered out. Okay. So one word here, distance measures. Meaning is, if we think in terms of physical measurement, okay, so distance is, When I say green color and red color, it differs from green to red. But how I should say it? How the green color and red color can be described? So how the dissimilarity can be measured? How the similarity can be measured? So meaning is that we need to develop some kind of matrix so that those qualitative terms may be represented into quantitative terms. So this is called distance measure. Okay, several measures we will discuss, and based on use of those measures, we develop several things. Density-based methods are used to identify outliers in a local region. However, these outliers may be observed as a normal from global statistical distribution point of view. Something we are analyzing. Okay. So from local point of view, two objects can be too dissimilar and one can be outlier in the local region. But from we observe the same object in a larger context, or one term we used to say is global region, then object which was earlier outlier may not be outlier from that big domain or global domain. Okay. For example, if we take a simple example, uh, if one person is living in Delhi, other person is living in suppose 100 kilometer distance from another city, let Karnal is there, okay, or Sonipat is there. Karnal, we take example. Even Kurukshetra, okay. So here we will say Kurukshetra is too far distant from Delhi, or Delhi is too far distant from Kurukshetra. But when we see this thing from on the world map, okay, and we see these two cities, they are very close to each other. So when we observe the world map, the distance measure is different compared to when we observe the map of state Haryana, or even when we observe the map of your city. The distance appears to be too far. But when the same thing is observed from large context or big map, the same thing can appear too close. Okay, so in one case it is outlier. However, in the global statistically distribution point of view, it is local. Yeah, sorry, it is not outlier. So it depends from where we are observing or in what context we are observing, and how that context is narrow or how that context is large. Okay. Next, are all patterns interesting? When we conduct data mining, we have large number of patterns. Okay. Now question arises whether we should study all the patterns. So simply answer will be no. Answer will be no. I am interested only those patterns which are relevant to me or which are relevant to my study. Okay. So somebody will say, okay, generate only those patterns. Why you are doing so and so unnecessary exercise? But in practice, can we do it? That system or algorithm only able to generate only those interesting patterns that you desire? This is one question. Okay. Another question. Somebody will ask interesting pattern. So other person will ask, what do you mean by interesting? How do you define How do you define the term interesting from your point of view? Because something may be interesting or some pattern may be interesting for one category of person. At the same time, other category of person may not be interested in that pattern. Okay, so how the interestingness of a person is defined and measured? Some kind of measurement we need to develop. Okay, so we will see here what is written. Data mining systems can generate thousands or even millions of patterns or rules. Whether all patterns are interesting, then the answer will be no, naturally. So only a small fraction or fraction of patterns or very less percentage of the patterns, okay, may have potential in which a user may be interested, right? Out of 100 pattern, there may be 99.5% pattern not interesting, only 0.5%. So, or user may be interesting in those patterns. So here we have natural question. What makes pattern interesting? Can a data mining system generate all the interesting patterns? Okay. And one more question. Can a data mining system generate only interesting patterns? So we try to understand some possible answers of this question. The answer of the first question, the pattern is interesting if it is easily understood by the humans. On TV, there was one advertisement of some study कोचिंग और चैनल वो बोलते हैं समझ में आएगा तो अच्छा लगेगा तो समझ में आएगा, कुछ पता ना हो, शाहरुख खान है या कोई है. So purpose is that if something is easy to understand, easily absorbed by the humans, okay, so it will encourage further to them to go ahead in understanding that thing. So it provides encouraging environment. And if something that is not easily understandable by someone, then it provides discouraging environment. Okay, so person will try to go away from that environment or that study. So what happens here? One thing, easy. How easy you can represent something. So if easily understood by human, then certainly everybody will appreciate, okay, pattern is interesting. Second, valid on a new or test data with some degree of certainty. If the pattern is generating result up to some extent of accuracy, then okay, we can consider this pattern also. Third one, potentially useful. Okay, something is very simple, but it is very useful. Right now we are using mask. Everybody is using mask, and preparation of mask is not a difficult job. Okay, even in your home, a person or lady used to make very easily. Everybody can make. So now question arises here. Something is easy, but at the same time, it is very useful. Okay, so we cannot ignore because it is easy, so we should ignore. No, we also take care whether it is useful, how much it is useful. So potentially useful. If something is like that, then we will always appreciate that pattern. Novel means new, a pattern that was never discovered earlier, and first time we are observing. Okay, many people are studying today about COVID COVID-19 infection, disease, how it is spreading, how people are recovering, okay, what is the impact, effect on different region of the country or of the world, different citizens of different countries, how it is affected, like that, such kind of study. So simply they collect data and they process it and they get some kind of pattern and they have some opinion. So after this, a pattern is also interesting if it validates a hypothesis for that the user needed confirmation. Okay, so it is the same thing. So first issue is how pattern is interesting if it is easily understandable, valid on a new test, up to some certainty, potentially useful and novel. Okay. Next pattern, an interesting pattern represents knowledge. Okay. So interesting pattern represents knowledge. So how to measure the interestingness of a pattern? It becomes a question how or we can have two kinds of pattern interestingness measures, objective measures and subjective measures. So I think 10:21. Should we continue?
No, sir.
Okay. I stop here. And any question you want to ask? Any question you have, then you can write. Otherwise, I will assume there is no question. Okay, thank you.